Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is Two Back and Not to Back, where we're going to go through a variety of crowdfunding campaigns, talking about the games, the campaigns, the pledge levels, stretch goals, all of that and more, and of course, should you back it or not. We're going to go ahead and start off today. We have, 12, 13 campaigns to go through. Not a ton, but we are, of course, picking up speed as we enter the new year. But we're going to go ahead and start off, as usual, with our Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now is a segment where we take a look at a currently available game. In this case, that is Minos Dawn of the Bronze Age, which I've played several times recently. I filmed my review, it goes up shortly. Spoilers, I like it, but it's currently available for $41 over on Miniature Market. It's Cult of the Now, as a reminder, you can get great games available now, despite the fact that we are about to look through a whole lot of crowdfunding games that are all going to be tempting in a variety of ways, including some excellent euros at we're going to be talking about Darwin's Journey Oceania later today, and later today meaning like in 30 minutes or so, and that's available for the cost of the game, for the cost of the expansion plus shipping is going to be less than the cost of the game over here. Granted, you could say shipping as well, but I always do $100 to get that free shipping whenever I buy from Game Nerds, Miniature Market, wherever. Either way, this is not an advertisement for Minos, this is just me reminding you that as much as crowdfunding is amazing, excellent, incredible, and some of the best games in my collection are from crowdfunding, sometimes you can get great games available without that. Also, fun fact about Minos, if you're actually scrolling through Miniature Market, it shows $48 on the page over here. I don't know what's up with that, but I clicked on this thing and it was $48. I saw 40, I checked 41 technically. I checked around for a few others and didn't see that occurring anywhere else, so if you scrolled past Minos because you thought it was too expensive, well, it's cheaper on the page over here, and there's 7 copies left in stock, so better run now. I don't do this with Miniature Market, this is just our Cult of the Now segment. Not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored, all of that. Let's go ahead and dive into it, starting off with our board game adjacent over here. Board game adjacent, we have 2 campaigns, starting with the Dice Tower's 2025 fundraising campaign. The Dice Tower does this every single year. They go ahead and raise funds for the channel while offering you a whole lot of fun things to get your hands on, including socks. I say including socks because they didn't have socks at first, but I guess people asked for socks, which I'm glad about because I want socks and I'll be buying some more socks. I already have a pair of Dice Tower socks, but I want more Dice Tower socks. Anyways, if you have enjoyed any of the content that Dice Tower has put out over the past 23rd year, apparently, 23 years of doing content and videos and all that, this is a great time to go ahead and support them. Running a channel is hard, the ad revenue and all those other things don't add up to enough. You have to do a lot of things to actually be able to pay the bills when you're doing content as a living, and if you've appreciated any of the content that the Dice Tower continues to put out, this is always a good time to show it, either with a direct, straight up donation. They have pledges just for a straight up donation if you want to just support them without any of the extra goodies, or if you want any of the goodies, they have a lot of goodies as well, but this is a good time to go ahead and show them that you support what they do if you value what they do. Moving on to the next category over here, not next category, same category but new thing, we have the Jade board game table. This is their second time on the platform. The first time I believe they did not fund, but they are back. They're currently at $36,000 raised with 24 backers, which is typical for tables. You need a few people buying a bunch of tables for the numbers to add up very, very quickly. But this is the Jade board game table. Looks overall cool. I'm not going to go heavily into this. Board game tables have a lot of similarities between them, and it's up to you to try to figure out which table you like more than another in order to figure out which one is the best table for you. But this does look good. Overall, the table looks good. It looks solid. The top with the magnets and the enclosure. Again, a lot of these are going to be typical to different tables, but there's always small nuances as far as the style, the cost. The cost is always a big nuance on these tables, trying to figure out which one is right for you. Speaking of the cost over here, the Jade board game table is going to be at $1,200 for the table and topper, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's the table and topper, and dining leaves. So dining leaves does sound like that is the topper, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the additional 4 chairs for the $2,000 price point. And shipping seems to be somewhat reasonable. Shipping says like $150 to shipping in the 48 states, and then $250 if you're getting the table plus chairs, which again seems fairly reasonably priced for how often these tables can be expensive in the shipping price alone. So definitely worth taking a look at if you're interested, but that is going to be the Jade board game table. And with that means we're going to go ahead and start diving into our actual campaigns for the day. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10, 9. I'm looking at the upcoming campaigns. We have 9 campaigns to go into past the 2 we just covered, starting with Pixels and Polygons from BD Games, who did Assault on Doomrock. Pixels and Polygons is currently raising 14,000 euro raised on 339 backers, and this is a worker placement tribute to the video game industry. Basically, you're trying to create video games. Every single card or every aspect of the game is going to be a little bit of a homage, a reference to video games you know and love from, League of Legends-ish. I think this looks like, maybe it's Heroes of the Storm, but like potato. We have MMOs, we have a subscription, we have loot boxes, you have Call of Duty, you have VR, you have all of that going through this video game, this worker placement video game, as you compete to build the best video game, get awards and all of that. dealing with the actual game, the worker placement, the modular boards that keep the game interesting. There's going to be modular sections to mix up the gameplay and keep it fresh as you go through it, as you try to line up your game to make it the best game of the year overall. Now, there's going to be a €39 price point for the game, just one simple pledge level. There's nothing crazy going on. €39, plain, straight, and simple. The various stretch goals they've unlocked, the linen finish 2 boards, the solo mode, the developer upgrade, removal trace for tokens, the video game card pick, and they have a dice tray add-on if you want that. It's pretty straightforward as far as things go. They do have a note on AI worth calling out, where basically they talk about how they have like 5 cards in the game currently used with AI that they almost think is a subtle reference to the obviousness of AI and the use of it in the space. They kind of talk about it. They go into the disclaimers, I believe it's in the disclaimers. AI art. It's worth reading this. They talk about how they are going to work with the community to see if the community wants that or not, because it's not meant to be a AI built board game. It's meant to be almost a subtle dig in its own way. So either way, just worth noting. I thought it was an interesting call out, and they do talk about how they're going to work with their backers to decide what people want at the end of the day. That's basically what we got for that. As far as shipping is going to run you 16 to 15 euro in the US, and then of course whatever region you're in over here, which brings the price of the game up noticeably, especially considering that it's a small single box, single contained edition of a game. And that brings us to the should you back or should you not, will it hold its value. In general, it's always harder when you're talking about a game that looks like it's just coming in one straight form. It's the GameFound exclusive edition, but it's just one pledge level, €39 plus the €15 shipping, puts the price point of the game in the $75 range for a game that usually you'd be able to, again, looking at Minos over there, you're looking at that for $41, and you're looking at this for in the $75 range in general. And again, as usual, the reason I count shipping on crowdfunding and not at the game stores is because you can't bundle a bunch of pledges together from crowdfunding and then get free shipping. You can do that with game stores, which is why, if you're ever like, why is it so unfair that you're counting shipping here and not there, there is a logical reason. Obviously, it doesn't apply if you're only going to buy one game. Then count shipping for Miniature Market and Game Nerds as well. But either way, that just puts in a harder way to justify this overall. I think the limited number of backers is also a little bit surprising to me. Like, I am all in on the theme. I can't speak to the gameplay, but thematically, I'm very interested in this game. I think it's very charming. It's a homage to video games, which I do enjoy and appreciate. Like, I want those terrible loot box cards, those online subscription models, and all the terrible overworked developers, all those things. I mean, I don't actually want overworked developers, to be clear, but thematically, the idea of this game I find charming and interesting, and I definitely want to like it. But that said, the price point, the lower demand on the game, the 340 backers, does mean there's less pull compared to its past campaigns. So I don't think this is as likely to hold its value. I think the limited demand now is going to translate into limited demand later as well. From there, we have Master of Orion Ad Astra from Arkane Studio, 3,700 backers, $814,000 raised. This is the homage to an actual video game, not the category in general. Master of Orion has had several video game iterations, I believe 3 if I'm not mistaken, although 2 is the only one that really counts. We all know that, and I say we all know that. I'm not trying to start a fight, I'm just trying to be funny about my own opinion and realizing I might start a fight by doing so. Either way, Master of Orion is a 4X video game space game, and this is going to take that and bring it to a 4X tabletop experience in which you're going to expand, exploit, explore, and exterminate your opponents as you play through this game, trying to build up your factions, trying to develop your ships, develop your tech, add more, explore the galaxy, and overall just be the last one standing at the end of the semi-manageable playtime. I say semi-manageable because there's 3 kinds of 4X games. There's the ones that promise you an hour-long experience that few actually deliver. There's the ones that simply embrace their nature of what they are and give you those 6 to 8 hour games, and those ones that try to navigate that line and fall into the middle. I'm looking at you, Eclipse, as well as, oh my gosh, what was that other one? There was another game that came out that was supposed to rival Eclipse once upon a time, and it was popular enough, but I forget everything about it. It had like 3 expansions. I don't remember. There's more than one. There's just one in my head that I'm thinking of as an Eclipse rival. Anyways, Master of Orion is falling into that zone, trying to give you that 3-hour-ish playtime, maybe 45 minutes to an hour per player, depending on how well you know the game, how much interaction there's going to be, also whether you're playing it for 6 or 8 rounds. Because there are 2 modes, the 6-round game and the 8-round game, as you try to go through the galaxy. You're going to choose your asymmetric races, all of which are going to be races from the Master of Orion video game universe, and then utilize your unique competitive advantages, whether you're the Silence with the science, then you're trying to expand more and more knowledge, whether you're the Klaxons trying to turn your own people into more food and or more work in the game, or whether you're the spies and the Dothraki, or the Dothraki being the, I always can't remember the race names, I can't remember all the names. There's the spy race, which I can't remember, and then there's the hulky big guys, I think Dothraki, but maybe I'm confusing different lores here. Maybe they're something else. Either way, they're all on the page over here. But you're going to choose those races, you're going to be trying to explore, there's going to be actual Orion in the center of the universe, as it is in the video game as well, and there's a variety of ways to trigger endgame past these 6 or 8 rounds. cooldowns. At the end of the day, you're going to be using action cards as your core mechanic. You're going to be drafting action cards, and those cards can be used either to drive actions or to use for actual technologies powering up your tableau. So there's a lot going on here, a lot of homages to the video game. You can check out my review if you want my full thoughts on the game. Full thoughts with the caveat that I do believe they already have been making changes to the rules. So this is definitely one you want to take with a grain of salt as far as my review reflects the rules as they were at the time, and I believe they've already been changing, hopefully improving them based on the feedback they have already been getting from that. And that's usual for prototypes. It's just when I know what's happening, I call it out. When I don't know what's happening, I just put it in the prototype rules and components subject to change category. Either way, that's basically what we got from Master of Orion, or at least the base pledge of it. Past that, the gameplay at a glance, they cover this. Again, it's going to be, you're going to have your asymmetric technology boards. We have the Kraken Silicoids, Republic of Soul, that's the humans, the Silence, Bolrathi, not Dothraki. What are the Dothraki? That's some other universe. Why am I blanking on who the Dothraki are? I'm gonna feel like an idiot when some 7,000 of you are gonna post in the comments who the Dothraki are. But I'm blanking on it. The Bolraks. Anyways, Bolrath. And the Darlarks. I was combining the Bolrath, the Darlarks, and the Dothraki into one term because whatever. Anyways, that's basically what we have for this game over here. For the pledge levels, go down to the pledge levels. Pledge levels, we have the Emperor Pledge, which is going to give you all of the stuff. It's going to give you the base game, as well as the 3 expansions and all stretch goals. The Space Cadet Pledge will give you the base game and stretch goals for $119. The Galactic Explorer gives you one of the 3 expansions. We'll talk about the 3 expansions shortly, but one of the 3 expansions and the base game and stretch goals. And the Star Seeker gives you 2 of the expansions, the base game and stretch goals. And so overall, I mean, you can look at any of those options. I guess you want to choose the Galactic or the Star Seeker if you're like, I don't care about those expansions, they're not going to add to my gameplay, may as well save you the money on that. But it does look like most people are going for the all-in Emperor Pledge over here, which they want all the stuff over there. Which brings us to the expansions. Let's talk about the expansions. If we go to them over here, we have the Galactic News Network expansion, which the Galactic News Network, if you've played Master of Orion, a delightful little moment where good and bad things will happen to you as the random events. It's the random events of the game, but I love the idea of them, and I love, like, even as they kind of, even as I was looking up on this expansion over here, immediately I hear the little noise of the Galactic News Network in the background. Like, in my head, I can hear it as I'm thinking of it. Either way, we have the events over there. We also have the Admirals and Governors available to boost your empires. That's going to be, and then new factions. This expansion introduces a new faction as well. So we have the Meklar, the Sakra, and the Alkari, additional new expansions bringing you more races from the video games. We also have over here the Galactic Council expansion, bringing you minus civilizations, so a little kind of like not AI is the wrong term. We're looking for NPCs, NPC factions basically that are going to be in the game as well, and then combine with that the Galactic Council mode, and then as well, of course, we have the Larians, the Nolams, and the Marshan. Marshan being like the lion, the cat people. I always loved cat people in MTG, like Magic the Gathering when I got into that, so I always had an affinity for the Marshan as well because of that. Either way, that's going to be what we have for that expansion. And then we have the Antaran's Revenge, bringing you a huge galaxy mode, the Antaran's Ravage mode, which is going to be a playable Antaran faction, a powerful race seeking galactic dominance, as well as the huge galaxy mode. And then, of course, we have the Antarans as the new faction you're going to go with. All of them bringing you more spaceships, more miniatures, which does feel like overkill. I almost wish they had just a few. Like, it's one of those weird balances, but I don't find the miniatures to be distinctive enough or interesting enough, at least from the various ships, to need having, like, sets for every single last variation of them. That said, it's nice to at least have the variety, I guess, so there's that. That's basically what we have over there. As far as shipping, let's go down to shipping over here. Estimated shipping costs is going to run you in the US, depending on your pledge level, you're looking at $36 to $47, which is going to be a nice chunk of change, an additional 25% on top of your current pledge. Which brings us to the should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? And it's hard to say. The closest comparison I'm going to look at here is Heroes of Might and Magic from Arkane Studios themselves. Their last big video game adaptation that was fairly expensive for the all-ins, but then if you look on the secondhand market, they held their value for a short time. Heroes of Might and Magic in general, when pledges were first arriving, they definitely were able to hold the value, but as time has gone on, despite the game being well rated, I think possibly just because of the sheer amount of stuff there is, I don't know the reasons, but the holding its value part has dropped as time has gone on. And so I think that's likely true here as well. Meaning if Heroes of Might and Magic, a campaign that was even more popular, didn't hold its value outside of those first few months, I think it's likely true for Master of Orion Ad Astra, which I guess you could look at it 2 ways. On the one hand, if you do back this and you find it's not for you, I recommend tabling it and playing it right away. If it's not a game for you, turn around and sell it while the market is still hot and not yet flooded in any way. But if it's a game that you hold on to for a bit, again, just judging by Heroes of Might and Magic, I'm skeptical that it'll fully hold its value. Don't get me wrong, you can get a decent chunk of what you paid back, but not necessarily all of it. Moving on to Everdell Silverfrost. Silverfrost over here, 4,176 backers, $467,000 raised. This is the newest Everdell game. After Everdell the complete collection with all the expansions, Everdell Farshore, and now Everdell Silverfrost, bringing you some gameplay changes, but if you're familiar with Everdell Farshore, you're looking at the same core concept and then some changes. Whether those changes make the game better, worse, different for you, that's going to come down to the individual person, obviously. But Everdell Silverfrost builds on the success of Everdell, giving you a new standalone game in the Everdell universe, this time with some key differences. The key differences that I've noted at least are going to be the mountain board replacing the tree is a thematic difference or whatnot, but you'll have a mountain board which will be 2-dimensional in the basic game, it's going to be 3-dimensional in the collectors, and then you can actually buy the full wooden version of it, which I guess is less fun than the wooden version of a tree, but I guess you can't have a mountain version of a mountain. That would probably be a little bit more expensive and or complicated. But the general idea is you have Everdell. You have the core idea of Everdell. You're going to have different seasons, you're going to be playing cards, you're going to be using your meeples to go to worker locations, gathering resources, you can play critters based on paying their food costs, you can play critters based on playing their chimney costs, using the chimney to put them into a region, although you do have to use a fire to light that chimney. That's going to be one of the differences already. You do need fires in the game. You need fires to light your chimneys, you need fires to go to areas on the board that are going to be covered in snow. So you have additional element and mechanic you're working with over here of snow being in the way, cold being in the way, things getting in the way of your game. You also will have your ranger critters or whatnot who have a bit more freedom to go to locations already taken, or to go to locations without utilizing the fire, so a little bit more powerful creature you have in the game. And you're going to have these not necessarily allies, but big critters you can go ahead and utilize, calling them down from the mountain to help them out, kind of operating as a sort of like the goal structure they have, the quest structure they have, although they still do have quests in this game as well. So again, it's basically the core structure of Everdell, but like Farshore, there are some key differences that are going to make it slightly different. And as someone who likes Farshore a lot, and I appreciate the differences it adds, while still appreciating the original Everdell, that does mean I'm interested in this without feeling it's essential. I mean, I already have 2 versions of Everdell. Do I really need a third? And I don't know. I mean, I managed to keep Zombicide to 2 versions, if you count Black Plague, Green Horde, White Death as 1, and Deceased and Marvel Zombies as 2. That's only 2 versions of Zombicide, right? It's only like 17 Calyx Cubbies, so that's basically the same as Everdell. It's not 17 Calyx Cubbies. I have it condensed to a manageable 3 Calyx Cubbies so far. Anyways, that Zombicide little minor jump to the side. We have over here, that's gonna be what we have for the pledge over here. As far as the collector's edition of the pledge, because we have a few pledge levels, we have the Just Essentials for $40 for the essential version of the game. We have the collector's edition for $69 for the game, and that's going to be bringing you. We have Just Essentials showing you the punch boards, the chimneys, the punch board fires, the punch board resource tokens, and then we have the deluxe fire tokens, the 8 plastic chimneys, the metal point tokens, deluxe resources, and the 4 3D punch board beacons. That's going to be what you have in the collector's edition of the game for $69. Once you jump to $98, you're getting the deluxe resource vessels as well. If you have the resource vessels from the first time round, from the original Everdell, you're gonna be familiar with those. But those are basically nice containers for your tokens, available for an extra, what's the math on that? $29 for those. And then for a Mountain Climber, you have $128, which is going to give you the copy of Everdell Silverfrost, the Wooden Mountain. This is adding the Wooden Mountain to the pledge before. And then lastly, they have a pledge from north to south, giving you both of the collector's edition of Farshore and Silverfrost if you just want to jump in and get the collector's edition of the new things at a discounted rate. So $144, which that's going to be a slightly lower price point than you could buy the Farshore for otherwise. Those are the pledge levels you're looking at over here for Everdell Silverfrost. And then, of course, you have a ton of add-ons for any number of things you want. You can get basically whatever you want, including all the way up to the big old box of storage, the complete collection, anything you need, puzzles, blankets. I assume blankets. I didn't even see the blankets, but I assume there's blankets here. Why wouldn't they have blankets here? They don't have blankets here. Why would you not have blankets? Why would you have everything else and not blankets? They have plushies, they have duo, they have puzzles. I feel they should have the blankets here, but they don't have the blankets here. So let them know that you want the Everdell blankets because they look pretty cool. Anyways, that is basically what you have over here. Shipping is going to be coming fairly manageable at $12 up to $18 for the various pledge levels, and that is basically what we have. There are some notes as far as things like no PO boxes, there are various shipping regions, they're going to be collecting VAT and taxes and all that, so there are definitely some notes to be aware of outside of the things I've covered over here, but that is Everdell Silverfrost. Should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? So first of all, if you're coming at this someone who's new to Everdell, Silverfrost could be a good place to start, but honestly, you can go ahead and get any of the Everdell content. There's a ton of ways to get it, especially if you're not fussy about what you try first. The used market is going to be very flexible if you don't care that much, and honestly, if you're jumping in for the first time, that might be the way to go. If you're coming in as a fan of Everdell, then Silverfrost could be great, but do you really need more? Do you want this now? All those are good questions, because again, I'm a fan of Farshore and a fan of Everdell, but do I need another? See my previous note about how many copies of a game I actually need. So those are all interesting questions to ask about just how much content you want for a game that you already have a lot of, if you already know but I have a lot of it. So as far as just the need for this, those are just different conversations. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you may well appreciate it. I think Far Shore is great. I think Far Shore is excellent. I still think most people don't need Everdell and Far Shore. If Everdell is one of your top 20 games, that might be one thing. If it's not, do you need 2 or 3 copies of a game? As far as holding its value, I'm skeptical it will, just based on the secondhand market, meaning this might be the best way to get your hands on it based on the secondhand market. Sorry, this might be the best way to get your hands on these games, especially if you want them new, if you want them early, if you want them at a reasonable price point. But looking at the secondhand market on Everdell Far Shore and how that's done, because that is the closest comparison we're looking at, the collector's edition of Far Shore on the secondhand market has not held up that $100 price point, and over here you're looking at the $69 price point plus the shipping, so you're looking at $81. That you're not going to get that back on the game based on the current secondhand market of the Far Shore collector's edition. So if you just want to get your hands on it, it might be the best, fastest, cheapest, not cheapest, best and fast and most accessible, but it likely will not hold its value. Moving on, we have the 20th Century Games 2025 Import Collection. 665 backers, 11 days to go, $38,000 raised. I will not be doing any kind of coverage on these games, and to be clear, I mean, I won't be telling you how each of these games plays because there's 11 of them, and I'm not going through all the 11 games. What I will say is, 20th Century Games has done this before. They've done an import collection. They're trying to bring games to the market, either reprints or just games that are not really available over here, and they run this import collection to get a bunch of people who are interested to offset those costs up front and giving you the games at a more reasonable price point MSRP wise. And to that end, they have these 11 games, and they are broken down by, well, all the individual games. You can back any individual game showing you the price of the game plus the MSRP. So $10 and a $15 MSRP, $15 and a $25 MSRP. And we have over here, I'll go through them one at a time, we have Kabuki Treats, we have Liar's Dice, we have Cat and Woof Days, we have La Habana, we have Nico Syndicate, The Yellow House, Take a Seat, the Battle of Versailles, the First Tsar, Intent to Kill, complete import collection over here. So that's not a game, that's everything. Intent to Kill being the last one over there, and then the complete import collection for $225, representing a savings on a $350 MSRP. And it is worth noting that if you buy all the various pledges individually, it adds up to the same amount. You're not getting an increased savings. I do wonder if that's because some of these pledges are region locked. You can't get them everywhere. So I wonder if you didn't want to do a larger discount because some people wouldn't have access to that, and that could frustrate some people, which I think is reasonable. This is just conjecture on my part, unless he said it in an update and I didn't read it. That's a different story. But that's what we have. 11 unique games on a $225 price point on an MSRP of $350, which we get to shipping, because shipping is the most important question. Shipping is going to be a flat $10 over here in the US and China over here. So a flat $10 regardless of what you get. You can get 30 pledges, seemingly. It seems to be like, I mean, based on what you said, to make things simple, there'll be a single price shipping for all games shipped to the same address. So you can get whatever you want. You can bundle up with friends, again, based on what I'm seeing over here, and it'll all be a flat $10, which is reasonable, because then you're looking at a, what was the total price point? $235 on a $350 MSRP would be a total price point, which means if you are interested in those, that is a good price to get your hands on these games relative to buying them new at your local online game store. Meaning in general, you are always going to have a savings off MSRP when you buy online, but that savings is generally between 25 to 35%, and they're giving you that already with this price point, assuming you want all of it. Obviously, the less you want, the less worth it is, because if you want that $10 game plus $10 shipping on a $15 MSRP, now you're paying above MSRP. So the less you want, the less worthwhile it is. So you kind of have to decide for yourself what you actually want, and is it worth it to get that. I would say if you want all 11 games, by all means, this is a worthwhile place to go ahead and get your hands on them. If you don't, you're starting to just get into a place where how much stuff that you don't actually care about are you adding to feel like you're getting the best deal, and that's always complicated. We've all been there. You just have to make a decision for yourself as to whether you actually want all these or not. So as far as should you back or should you not, secondhand market is likely to be not worth it, but as far as getting it for the best price point now, it might be worth it. The more you want, the more worth it is. The less you want, the less worth it is. Sorry for the somewhat vague answer. It's the nature of having 11 games in a single campaign. From there, we have action-packed double feature solo game of the month from Gabe Barrett from the Solo Game of the Month Club. Solo Game of the Month Club? Is it called a club? It's just Solo Game of the Month. $16,000 raised, 546 backers. This is going to be a twofer, an action-packed double feature in his thing, as well as a Decent Crusoe Neoprene mat is available as an add-on for $15. So the pledges over here, the pledges are going to be $25 for the action-packed double feature, which is two of the two games in the solo game, and then we have $5 for the print and play, and $15 for the Decent Crusoe playmat. As far as the games, we have Fire Rising, as well as we have Dead Reckoning, no, not Dead Reckoning, that's a different game. We have Reckoning, Welcome to Reckoning, and then we have Harsh Shadows. So welcome to Reckoning and Harsh Shadows. Welcome to Reckoning, you're trying to escape the town while everything slowly burns down around you, trying to utilize the locations while tentacle riders and trouble shows up at all turns. And then in Harsh Shadows, you're going to take control of an agent and then try to start the chase while trying to make sure you're not the one being hunted, while utilizing the various locations at your disposal and uncovering clues and evidence and utilizing the gear along the way. So 2 solo games in their solo game of the month for $25 for both them, and again $15 for the playmat for Decent Crusoe, which is one of the more popular games if I'm not mistaken. As far as should you back it, should you not, will hold its value. The shipping is the usual, $5 for USA and Asia, and $6 elsewhere. As far as should you back it, should you not, will hold its value. Same thing I always say with the Solo Game of the Month Club, which it really comes down to how well the games do and how popular they are after the fact. Because if they're hard to get your hands on, they will hold their value, which has happened with some of them. But like Button Shy games, for the most part, the answer for most of them is no. It's quick, it's easy, convenient if you want to get your hands on them, guarantee availability, always a good way to jump in. But if you are looking for like holding its value in the secondhand market, that's only going to happen to a few of them, and most of them it will not. So I usually just say, it depends what you're going for. If you just want to get them all, by all means back. If you want to specifically get the best of the best, you can just wait and buy those when the market determines that it's the best of the best. Moving on, we have La Patisserie Rococo. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, I apologize. The next evolution of Rococo from Louis and Stefan Maltz. 1,000 backers, $53,000 raised, 11 days to go. This is kind of trying to take the Rococo game and distill it to a lot of accessibility, meaning accessibility and price point. It's going to be cheaper than Rococo, as well as a shorter game, while trying to cram in as much of the decision space as there could otherwise be in Rococo. And I have Rococo. I still haven't played Rococo. I want to play Rococo. It'll happen one day. Anyways, we have Rococo over here. So we have La Patisserie Rococo over here. This was previously branded as Cookie Champion. That didn't take off as well. The separation from the original Rococo, I think, turned a lot of people off. And this one definitely is doing better by being closer to that original theme. But this is going to be straight up, first of all, it's going to be a $45 price point for the game. Just straight up $45 across a variety of different languages. That's all it is. $45 to get your hands in the game on a $65 MSRP. That's going to be relevant shortly because, well, let's cover it now while we're talking about it, because currently, if you're looking at the $10 shipping for the game, if I recall correctly, I think shipping was $10. Let me scroll down over here. Yeah, 1 copy of the game for $10, 2 for $15, 3 for $17, and that does change the math. But at $10, that means you are looking at a $55 price point on a $65 MSRP. See the previous notes and discussion around how you usually get 25 to 35% off MSRP when you are buying it online regardless. So it kind of isn't really that much of a savings, even though it might give you access to the game before the official release, so you get it earlier. You're not getting it at a terrible price point, you're getting it at an okay price point, because shipping kind of takes a big cut out of that savings you're actually getting otherwise. So that's kind of what we got as far as the why back now. It just kind of it limits the actual reason to back now outside of guaranteeing it earlier. Outside of that, you're basically running a bakery. You're going to have a bunch of actions, I believe 9 different actions you're going to be taking every round as you try to gather ingredients, make your treats, and then either sell those treats or alternatively offer them up for the judges to gain prestige. Kind of reminds me, there's a bunch of games that have this kind of mechanic of trying to choose how you utilize the things you make. I'm trying to remember, I think like Fresco, did Fresco do it? I don't know. I can't remember. Distilled maybe? There's a game, I'm trying to remember, there's, oh my gosh. What's that? This is a complete tangent at this point. From Devere Games, the Mozart one. The Mozart, I can't remember what it's called. I'm blanking on the name, but they have that. This is a side tangent. It just made me recall various games. Either way, you're building, baking various ingredients and then trying to either sell them or alternatively to get points for them. Also, I did love this part. You might also employ service to gain prestige, etc., etc. You can even dismiss staff to gain much needed cash! Exclamation mark. I thought that was an amusing use of the exclamation mark. You can even fire people to save money. Like, let's go ahead and capitalism in a board game, which, granted, is what board games often are. They often are a maximization of your resources, your expenditures, your costs, your benefits. Very often it is that. I just thought like the exclamation mark on you can even dismiss staff to gain much needed cash is a nice thematic twist, but maybe not necessarily a highlighted point. It's fine. It's all fine. I have nothing against Queen Games. I think it's great. I thought it was funny. I think because of the usual sensitivity we have around these things more so nowadays, I thought the highlighted aspect of it felt a little bit just cute to read. Not cute, ironic to read. I'm spending too much time on this. We're going to go ahead and move on. Anyway, should you back this, should you not? We'll just value all of that. Oh wait, no, let's talk about comparison with Rococo. So, comparison with Rococo, 4 rounds versus 7, a number of cards played each round, 5 versus 3, so the math on that is 20 versus 21 cards. We have number of unique staff, 76, 28, 76 people, you can fire as soon as you want. Replayability, splendid versus average, which I thought was interesting. It's a good selling point for La Patisserie Rococo, but at the cost of Rococo. Like, do I even want Rococo based on this chart? And the answer is I already have it, so it's too late for me. We have solo mode, yes, with 3 difficulty levels, only in the deluxe edition for Rococo. It really feels like they're trying to undersell Rococo here. And the price is $65 MSRP versus $120 MSRP for these games. Should you back it, should you not? It will hold its value. Again, the previous note about the cost, I don't think this price point is great. I think you're getting it earlier at a slightly more expensive, not super more expensive price point. Obviously, your region availability will also determine whether that's worth it or not. Moving on, we have Click a Tree. Click a Tree, 363 backers, $18,000 raised, 14 days to go. A great game by Uri Rosenberg, all about, well, a kind of degree of planting trees while managing the... I don't even know what you're managing. You're managing the points. I know what you're doing game-wise. Thematically, I'm not sure if you're trying to be conservative in terms of your approach, trying to be sustainable. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for sustainable as the word. I don't know if that's the goal or not, but either way, Click a Tree. The general idea of the game is you're going to have these tree tiles on the board that you're going to be using your action markers to flip them to go ahead or utilize the action markers on your personal player board to choose the tiles on either side of each of the markers. And then from there, you're going to be adding them to your plot of land, trying to line up the various symbols in order to make sure you have these big groupings of various fruit types, while then utilizing your harvest tiles to go ahead and harvest those, moving up the track. The problem is the track is loaded with these goals, and you have to go ahead and complete the goals in order to be able to actually move higher up the track. So you're trying to manage a whole bunch of things simultaneously, which is the kind of puzzle that I really enjoy. Like this, everything about this and the video, I highly recommend watching the video. I thought it did a great job of kind of showcasing how the game plays in a very short time frame. And it made me want to play the game. It's the kind of game puzzle that I enjoy. A little bit of management of goals, a little bit of management of your own tableau, a little management of what you select and all that. And so overall, seemed very compelling. The price point for the game is going to be €25, around $26 for just the base game. We have €45 if you want the wooden player boards as well as the wooden upgraded pieces. And then for $85, you also get a wooden box as well as the 4 linen bags for the game as well. That's going to be the deluxe edition of the game. You get exclusive gifts for backing over here, a starting player wooden piece, as well as a linen bag for the landscape tiles, and then it shows the various upgrades you can get, plus the stretch goals that they're unlocking along the way. The big tricky part over here is going to be shipping. Shipping to the US is going to run you €20 on top of that, which means if you're looking at an $85 pledge to an additional €20, not the craziest. If you're looking at the $25 pledge, if you just want the core game, you're basically asking for the full price of the game on top of it for shipping, which is the thing that's going to hold this back overall. Like, I'm interested in this game, but as far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? I'm a little skeptical that the highest pledge is worth that extra amount to most people, and the lower pledges, that €20 shipping, is taking a big chunk out of whether it's worth getting now. This is a game that I do want. I'm just skeptical it'll hold its value for most people because of the shipping cost relative to the price of the game. So very intrigued by this. A little less sure if it's actually worth getting here. Moving on, we have Darwin's Journey Oceania. 5,000 backers, 16 days to go, $320,000 raised. This is the expansion to Darwin's Journey, giving you a whole lot of, well, extra stuff. We're going to have a new game experience for showcasing new 16 unique specimens, reimagined dual-layer player boards, post office, university, village campsite, map lens locations, going to be new locations to go to, a new hazard track. There's just a ton of extra modular stuff to throw in to Darwin's Journey for those of you who are already fans of the games. That base pledge is going to run you €35, around $37 for the base found edition of the game. That is not the retail edition of the game. There will be a retail edition down the road, I believe, but right now there's just the found edition, which is the deluxe version of the game. We have the collector's edition for €110, which is a bump up from the original collector's edition. It looks like the prices have gone up, which I guess we know. We know prices have gone up since the last campaign. And we have €135, giving you a €10 discount if you want both of those at once. And then we have the all-in for €179, giving you, well, everything you might want over there. Speaking of everything we might want over there, we have all the various little upgraded, where are the stuff? Stretch goals, additional items. Here we are, the add-ons. We have the new Komodo mini expansion, Darwin's mini expansion, and the Falmouth Porth mini expansion, and then free for returning backers, the Golden Tent mini expansion over here. So if you are a returning backer, you do get this for free as part of your pledge. Then we have all the various other upgrades. Again, these are going to be in the all-in over here, but these are all the various upgrades from the original campaign, many of them included in the collector's edition as well. So not everything, like these lenses are not, but many of them are already included in the collector's edition if you have that, and otherwise you can go ahead and get them if you have a retail edition. This is a good way to possibly get extra stuff to round out that retail edition. That's what we have as far as this goes, which means the shipping. Shipping is going to run you €10. No, so Zone A is the US over here, €16 or €14 if you want additional copies. It's going to be €14 per additional copy, I believe, but shipping cost is going to be €16 for the base game over there, or the base cost of shipping. Which brings us to the should you back or should you not, will it hold its value. This one is a little tricky. Prices have gone up, but overall, I do think this is the most worth backing from all the campaigns we covered today, which I guess is a spoiler to our picks of the week. We'll get to that soon. We'll get to our picks of the week shortly. But basically, the original Darwin's Journey is one that did hold its value for the collector's edition. If you look at what people paid for it versus how well it's generally done in the secondhand market, I was able to find some people who sold it for less than what they paid for, but most people who have been able to get their money back and more for the various collector's editions of the game. So that's going to be Darwin's Journey. So overall, the secondhand market has held its value specifically on the collector stuff. Now, the prices have gone up a little bit since then, so it's a little bit hard to say because once you factor the increase in price plus the shipping, plus the expansion content, you are looking at a more expensive for the same amount of stuff as it was last time, and so that could affect things, but overall, I would say this is one you could probably get most of your money back, if not all of it, although it will still vary by person, what you're looking for, all of that, but I do think this is overall a pretty good chance of getting your money back. Not making money, to be clear, but getting your money back if you find that it's not a game that works for you. So should you back it? A little bit more freedom or flexibility around that, just based on the popularity of this game and the expansion content for it. Which brings us to our last campaign of the day. We have Yomi. Yomi 2 over here. Yomi is going to, let's scroll up to the top of the page. Yomi 2, Road to Morningstar. $87,000 raised, 333 backers. This is a new reimagined version of Yomi the fighting card game with both 2-player as well, 2 players as standard, and then a solo mode as well. The basic idea is this is a rock, paper, scissors of card games. You're going to choose your character and a gem. That's going to define your deck. So a gem has different flavors to how you're going to modify your core deck, and then you're going to be playing cards from your hand to try to predict what you want to do. Do you want to attack, block, throw, grapple, sides, I don't even know if there's grapple, sidestep, avoid, all these different things you can do, but it's basically rock, paper, scissors. You know, you're going to have a block will block a high attack, or you have a high block, high attack, and that will block, but if you throw someone who's blocking, then you can get the jump on them, and then you're going to go ahead and cascade into combos based on what you do. So if you're able to go ahead and get the upper hand in that initial face-off, you can then cascade into a combo that does a whole bunch of damage. That's kind of an oversimplification of a very nuanced system that has a lot going on to it, but that's the core starting point. The starting point is rock, paper, scissors, learning your characters, utilizing their abilities, and trying to figure out how to read your opponent, to know their characters, how their characters are stronger, get in their mind, and try to ultimately outplay them based on the combination of characters in play and the combination of your character and their gem. It's rock, paper, scissors, the card game, sort of, with a lot more going on. There's also a solo and 2-player co-op over here, where there's going to be a rising level of challenges, going from 1 all the way to 5 stars, giving you more and more difficult opponents to face off against in a semi-AI structured idea. So you still are trying to play the deck and the various combinations of things, but you are no longer in their mind because you're going to be rolling a die to resolve what attacks they're going to do. Now, there is a predictability matrix to a certain extent, meaning there's a degree of logical common sense, so you still are playing against what makes sense, but now it's odds-based what makes sense as opposed to getting in someone's head as you go through it. That's basically what we've got over here. As far as the pledge levels over here, let's go down to pledges. We have the gameplay all in for $225, giving you all the various characters. We have the challengers. I think it's like 20 characters and whatnot, 22 characters plus 8 gems. We have the challenger pledge down here with 10 characters plus 6 gems, and we have the novice, the starting off point for 2 characters plus 2 gems, just to give you enough to mix and match in different ways to get a sense or a taste of how the game actually plays out. As far as shipping is going to run you, let's say the US over here, $13 up to $27 for the novice, $20 for the challengers, and $27 for the all-in, bringing you to $250 for that all-in or whatnot. Which brings us to the should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? And I think it won't. In general, it's hard to say because Yomi is like a very popular game once upon a time, but we are talking about like 10 years later, if not more so, and I just don't think that popularity is there right now. We have 333 backers. It's not a ton. It goes back to like that one of the pixels and polygons we covered at the beginning, where there's not a ton of demand for this, and in general, the secondhand market and Yomi has not been, I guess, kind to it more recently because it's been a long time, it's been out for a while, and so I think this is one that's less likely to hold its value overall if you find out that it's not a game that works for you. And that is the last campaign we're covering today, which brings us to our picks of the week. We're going to have our value pick of the week, the game that I think is most likely to hold its value, that I think is most worth backing on crowdfunding if you're looking at it, and then my personal interest pick of the week, which is actually a little more complicated. For my value pick of the week, we're going to go with Darwin's Journey, which I kind of teased to already. I do think from all the games we covered today, this is the most likely to hold its value. Still never a guarantee, but I think just in terms of looking at the original Darwin's Journey, how well the collector's edition has done, I think this is the most likely to hold its value. As far as personal interest pick of the week, I'm going to go with Click-a-Tree. I was torn between a bunch, particularly Pixel and Polygons and Master of Orion, but I think the simplicity of Click-a-Tree, if it actually is the good game like I think it hopefully is, I don't know, I'm hoping it is as good as it looks. But this is the kind of game that is easy to table, quick to learn, quick to teach. It's the kind of game that I very much enjoy and table a lot. As much as a game like Master of Orion is incredible, it's also a game that's much harder to get to the table. Games like this I find I table a lot more frequently and have a room for a lot more of them in my collection. So I'm upset about the shipping price over here, making it a little less worth getting now. I'll try to pick it up at retail down the road. I hope there is retail presence down the road. But very much this is my personal interest pick of the week, a game that I think very much caters to my personal taste in what I really enjoy out of gaming, if it is everything I hope that it is. And that's what we have for the campaigns of the week, which brings us to our upcoming campaigns. We have 2 over here. We have Malediction launching, well, very, very, very soon. So this is upcoming ASAP, basically. Malediction miniatures card game over on GameFound, bringing you from Loot Studios, bringing you a miniatures game where you can print your own miniatures or use standees, giving it much more accessibility to that. And then we also have Hearts of Iron from Steamforged Games. 31,000 people following this campaign, launching later this week, bringing you the RTS/area control, the video game Hearts of Iron to your tabletop in an area control, do's and a map style game played out across 6 rounds. Check out my review coming out tomorrow on this. And that is basically everything. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you appreciate this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one. I was visiting a museum last week, and I saw this like giant T-Rex exhibit, and I asked the guide like how old it was, and he's like, "Oh, it's 70 million and 6 years old." And I was like, "Wow, how can you be so precise?" And he's like, "Well, when I started working here 6 years ago, they told me it was 70 million years old."